Hi, it's Jack, and this is the podcast version of this episode. If you want to read the words as they're being analysed, then if you're on Spotify, you can become a subscriber of this channel or head over to the YouTube channel. And on both platforms, you can also sign up to get exclusive episodes and early access to the regular weekly episodes too. Wendi Adelson is very calm on the stand. She very calmly says she doesn't remember using WhatsApp. She's very detailed on who she called the day her ex-husband was attacked. Even the moment she was told that Dan had been shot is delivered without emotion, but with plenty of contradictions.
So you didn't know what this was about at all when you were in the police car?
In the car, they told me.
Okay, in the car they told you what?
They said, your ex-husband has been shot.
Who was your voicemail?
It's from Lisa Carey, who is my real estate agent. She just said she was driving around town and she heard there was a shooting on Trescott.
Yeah, that's what this is about. There was a shooting. He's not going to survive.
Oh my God. And then I called my friend Jeff Skopek, who's different Jeff, lives in Boston, just had a baby, and so I was catching up with him about his baby. And we were on the phone about 16 minutes. I was on the phone with him on the way to the liquor store.
And were you on the phone when you encountered the roadblock? If you remember? Do you remember who you were speaking to?
I do.
Who was that? You don't have to say the name, but just what type of person was that?
He was a friend. I hadn't caught up with him a long time. He'd moved to England.
Did you have WhatsApp on your phone at the time?
I really don't know. I have it now. I don't know if I had it 8 years ago.
Did you have WhatsApp on your phone at that time?
I did.
In this statement investigation, we break down how her cool and steady words reveal more than she admits. Welcome to Never a Truer Word, where we look at the words that people choose to use to see if they're telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. If you're new here, what I do is different from anywhere else, because what I do is strip away everything and look at the words used by the person at the centre of the story. Then I use my process of statement investigation to giving us the key to seeing where the truth lies, where deception could be happening, and also the motivations of the person talking. It's a process that I use with investigators, with corporate clients, and with the media to get a deep understanding of what is being said. So let's have a look at Wendi Adelson. And while I was going through all sorts of Adelson stuff around Donna's trial and looking back on some of the previous trials and Wendy's police interview, I noticed Wendi making some contradictions. So I'm going to show you those contradictions, and we're going to try and work out, looking at the words she uses, where the truth is. And what we're going to do is look for a couple of markers, because the markers in language really quite simple to spot. The markers of truth versus the markers of deception. The truth tends to be, in general, simple, straightforward, a direct answer to the question that's being asked, and without anything added or extra, because that's where the markers of deception come in. Storytelling, not answering the question you've been asked, talking all sorts of extras, qualifications, putting in detail that's not needed, tends to be a marker of deception. So let's listen to some of Wendy's contradictions and see if we can work out where the truth lies. Now, this is her at Donna Adelson's trial, talking about when she found out Dan Markel had been shot.
Why did you tell investigator Isom in your law enforcement interview that you were worried the police, or you were worried, I guess, in the police car on the way to be interviewed, that you might be considered a suspect?
Because I couldn't think of anything bad going on in his life other than the divorce. And frequently the ex-wife is a suspect.
Were you treated as a suspect?
I was not.
But you mentioned 9 times in your law enforcement interview being a suspect, didn't you?
I did, yes.
When you were approached at the restaurant, you weren't yet told that this was a shooting, were you?
I was not.
You were only told something happened with your ex-husband.
I don't even know if I was told that. I was very scared something happened to my kids, and that's why law enforcement was there, and they wouldn't tell me what was going on.
But they did reassure you that the kids were fine. You remember
They told me that law enforcement officers were with the children, which terrified me because I didn't know why my children would need law enforcement officers.
So you didn't know what this was about at all when you were in the police car?
In the car, they told me.
Okay, in the car they told you what?
They said, your ex-husband has been shot.
Okay. So that you learned that information prior to getting into the interview room?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, it's that huge pause between, yes, I learned that going into or prior to getting into the interview room, and the okay from Georgia, the prosecutor, that made me really interested in this version of events. So it was put to her that she said she was a suspect in the police car. And she says, yeah, well, the ex-wife is normally a suspect. Then the question is, but you mentioned 9 times in your law enforcement interview being a suspect, didn't you? Now, I said Wendi is very calm and cool normally. Here we have a little bit of a stutter. I did, yes. When we stutter, we've got stress going on. Now, we don't know the reason for the stress. We can just say there's a stutter, there is some stress going on. And what is the stress going on here? Well, listen, it's joining herself to the thing she's about to say with the word I. When we stutter on the I, quite often psychologically we are having trouble joining ourselves and saying the words that join ourselves to the thing. I did, yes. So she's probably stressed about mentioning 9 times in her law enforcement interview she was a suspect. Also interesting, if you watch more of Wendy's trial, she has no trouble saying I don't remember when it suits her, just saying I don't remember. Or even here, I don't know the exact number of times that I mentioned being a suspect. However, she confirms 9 times she mentioned being a suspect. I did, yes. Next question. When you were approached at the restaurant, you weren't yet told this was a shooting, were you? She says, I was not. Talked about markers of truth. There's a truthful answer. When she was approached at the restaurant, you weren't told this was a shooting, were you? She confirms that. I was not. Very simple, very straightforward. You were only told something happened with your ex-husband, and she says, I don't even know if I was told that. I was very scared something happened to my kids, and that's why the law enforcement was there. And they wouldn't tell me what was going on. So I don't even know if I was told that. It's a statement in the negative. She's not confirming anything. It's I don't even know, so it's kind of vague. So now she is just leaving this up in the air, potentially because it's the truth. Potentially she doesn't want to be trapped by saying anything definitive. I don't even know if I was told that. And now that is all that is needed to be said to answer that question. Look at the question. You were only told something happened with your ex-husband. I don't even know if I was told that. Would just deal with that question. But she goes extra. And when we say extra things, it's always very revealing because it means that either we want to add something in that works to our benefit, something that's important for us to say, or we want to divert away from what was being put to us because that's not very helpful to us and onto something more helpful. Is that what is going on here? I was very scared something happened with my kids. So she's bringing in the concept of being scared, which she will do again in this question and answer session. Something had happened to my kids, so her focus was on her kids. And by the way, remember, she's a mom. Maybe people will feel more sympathetic to a mom being worried about her kids when law enforcement turn up. And that's why law enforcement was there, and they wouldn't tell me what was going on. Now, we have a contradiction here, because at the very start, she said, I don't even know if I was told that, which is that vagueness. I don't even know if I was told that, but obviously the opposite could be true as well. I could have been told that. They wouldn't tell me what was going on. But wait a minute, would they not tell you what was going on? Or do you not know what you were told? There's a contradiction there in that one answer. Not the big contradiction we're going to look at, but a contradiction in that answer. Curious, why is she not consistent all the way through that? The next question that is put to her, but they did reassure you the kids were fine, you remember that? She says, they told me that law enforcement officers were with the children, which terrified me. So that is not a yes or a no answer to, do you remember them reassuring you the kids were fine? She doesn't say yes or no. Once more, she goes into how scared she was. They told me law enforcement officers were with the children, which terrified me because I didn't know why my children would need law enforcement officers. Now, in the comments, please, I don't think that is the case because I've watched Wendy's police interview and what I saw from that was that the children were not with law enforcement officers. They were at preschool and a friend of Wendy's had to be arranged to go and pick them up from preschool because Wendi was otherwise detained by law enforcement. However, here she is saying, they told me law enforcement officers were with the children, which terrified me. So once more, she's getting across this feeling of being scared, of being terrified. Potentially, she's bringing these things to the fore because she mentions them when she goes extra to maybe justify some of her actions as they happen that maybe wouldn't be rational to any sort of analysis, but would make sense if someone was scared and terrified. They may do things that are unexpected because they're scared and terrified. She really wants us to know they're scared and terrified. Is that the reason why? Next question. So you didn't know what this was all about when you were in the police car? Wendi says, in the car, they told me. So in the car, they told me. Now, that's an interesting answer. In the car, they told me. Now, they is more than one person. Now, one person would be the person to break this news. Yes. So in the car, I was told. No, in the car, they told me. Who's they? All of them at once in unison, like a choir? Or did this not happen? Okay, in the car, they told you what, she has asked. They said your ex-husband has been shot. So very clearly there, in the car, they told you what? They said your ex-husband has been shot. Repetition of they, and they said your ex-husband has been shot. Remember that? That's what was said to her in the car. Okay, so you learned that information prior to getting into the interview room. Yes, says Wendi. And then there's that long pause before the okay. So here, in this question and answer from Donna's trial, she wants to get across the terror that she felt. For sure, she wants to get across the terror and this scaredness that we've seen. She's not sure what she was told in the restaurant. In some cases, she's very adamant. She wasn't told anything. They wouldn't tell me what was going on. In other cases, it's, I don't know what they told me, which is very convenient. She lumps all the police together as they, and she's very adamant in this trial, she was under oath, that she was told in the police car that Dan had been shot. So does that square with what Wendi was told in the police interrogation on the day Dan Markel was caught? This is the very, very start of the recording of that interrogation. And unusually for me, I'm going to look at both sides of the conversation. So the police talking and Wendi Adelson talking as well. Have a listen to this.
Okay. Do you have your ID with you?
I just listened to my voicemail.
What'd you hear? Who was your voicemail?
It's from Lisa Carey, who is my real estate agent, or who I had gone with to find a house. She just said she was driving around town and she heard there was a shooting on Trescott.
Yeah. That's what this is about. I'm sorry you had to hear it that way.
I'm sorry, I didn't know if I should.
It's all right. Just leave it there. Is it still on?
It's right there.
Do you want to just hit play again for me?
Sure.
It's Lisa Carey. It is Friday, and I feel like an idiot doing this, but I just heard that there was a shooting over on Trescott, and I promise I'm not trying to be dramatic or even nosy. I don't know, just checking on you, my friend. I hope all is well. I hope your sweet boys are well, and if there's anything you need, let me know. It just ran a chill down my spine when I heard that there was something going on Trescott. All right, 212-3083. Hope all is well, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.
That's all right. You can stop it. Or does it stop automatically?
It's done.
There was a shooting at your home, or your ex-husband's home, at 2116 Trescott. Okay. Your ex-husband, Daniel, all right, has been taken to the hospital. He's not going to survive.
Oh my God.
Okay?
Okay, so does that sound to you like the first time she was told that her ex-husband has been shot? It did to me. Let's break down the words and see if we can work out why, rather than just the feeling, if there's any logic inside the words. So the first thing she says to the detective is, I just listened to my voicemail. So that's saying that she's already heard the voicemail. It's not on tape as to whether she had listened to that voicemail or not. What did you hear, says the detective, and Wendi says, and she's maybe just about to answer when the detective interrupts and says, who was your voicemail? Meaning, who was your voicemail from? Wendi says, it's from Lisa Carey, who is my real estate agent, or who I had gone with to find a house. She just said she was driving around town and she heard there was a shooting on Trescott. She just said. Now, Wendi uses just a lot to minimize things down there. And I don't know, did she say more than that? Did she just say that and she's just wanting to minimize it? Or was it just going around town? I don't know, but she uses that word as a sort of minimizer here. She just said this very casually. She just said this. And the detective says, yeah, that's what this is about. Now, that sounds to me like the very first time this detective certainly, has told Wendi that. And you'll notice that Wendi doesn't use anything to say this is the estate agent confirming information that I already know. There's no words there to say, yeah, she's just called me to tell me there's been a shooting as well, or anything like that at all. She is bringing this information as if it is fresh and presenting it as if she is fresh. There's missing words there. If she'd heard about this before, we would hear something to confirm that this voicemail matched what she already knew or what she had already been told, or even partially matched what she already knew or what she had been told. There's none of that there. And the detective, that's what this is all about, is introductory words there at all. And the way he says it, it's all an introduction of the concept that there's been a shooting there. And then he says, I'm sorry you had to hear it that way. And that way is talking about the voicemail. It's not, I'm sorry you had to hear it in the car. And I'm sorry you had to hear it is exactly talking about hearing it, is hearing it for the first time. That's what is said. The phrase hear it is hearing it for the first time. It's kind of shorthand for that. So his words are indicating, certainly for him, this is the first time this information has been passed on to Wendi. Wendi says, I'm sorry, I didn't know if I should. He says, that's all right. Just leave it there. Is it still on? It's right there. Do you want to hit play again for me? Sure. And here's the message. Hi, it's Lisa Carey. It's Friday, and I feel like an idiot doing this. Look like the stress there. I feel like an idiot doing there. She's about to impart some information that could be life-changing, very sensitive. But I just heard there was a shooting over in Trescott, and I promise you, I'm not trying to be dramatic or even nosy. I don't know, just checking on you, my friend. I hope all is well. I hope all is well. I hope the boys are well. And if there's anything you need, let me know. It just ran a chill down my spine when I heard that there was something going on in Trescott. All right. And then she gives her number. I hope she's changed it since. Hope all is well, and I will talk to you soon. Bye. And that's the voicemail. Now, notice Wendi said, I got a voicemail from my friend. And she said, Lisa Carey, my estate agent, she just said she was driving around town and she heard there was a shooting on Trescott. Lisa does not say she was driving around town. Listen, it's Friday. I feel like an idiot doing this. I just heard there was a shooting over in Trescott. I'm not trying to be dramatic or nosy. I don't know. Just checking on you, my friend. I hope all is well. If you need anything, let me know. It ran a chill down my spine when I heard there was something going on Trescott. All right. Hope all is well. We'll talk to you soon. So where did Wendi get this that Lisa was just driving around town from? I don't know. That's all right, you can stop it, says the detective, or does it stop automatically? Wendi says, it's done. Now, I edited out an ID check there where her information is checked, she gives her ID, the spelling of names and so on is all run through as well, because it's not the most interesting part of this. Then the detective sits her down, faces her and says, there was a shooting at your home. Now that at the very beginning is like he's thinking about what to say. The ums often are us forming in our mind the right words to say. Very often when I'm doing these, it's about a lie. What I think is going on here is he is imparting some very serious news and he's thinking of the best way of wording it. Not blurting it all out, but thinking about what's the best way of wording this. There was a shooting at your home, or your ex-husband's home, at 2116 Trescott, okay. Your ex-husband, excuse me, Daniel. All right, he's been taken to hospital. He's not going to survive. And Wendi says, oh my God. Now, again, is that the reaction of someone who knew all about this in the police car, then heard a voicemail, has then been sat down and spoken to very matter-of-factly, very full of content and detail about the incident that's happened? Is that the reaction of someone who was told in the police car, or is that the reaction of someone who has had this building sense? I've listened to a voicemail. That's what this is about, the shooting. And then it is your ex-husband that has been shot and he's not going to survive. Is that the reaction of someone who's hearing the news for the second time? It's all just been confirmed of what's happened in the police car. Or is that the reaction of someone who's hearing this information in the police interview room for the first time? It is... all the language here just backs it up that this is the first time Wendi has been told that Dan has been shot. So here in this part, all the words from the detective suggest he is conveying this information for the first time. And Wendi, her emotional reaction only comes after he's not going to survive. So, contradictions there. She says at Donna's trial, I was told in the police car. In the police interrogation, she's being told for the first time in the police interview room. Which one looks true? Well, from the detective words alone, that one is true. She was told for the first time in the police interview room. So why she mentioned in the Donna's trial that she was told in the car, I don't know. Two things can't be true. There's a contradiction there. I think the truth sits in the police interview room. Let's go back to the police interview room. And this is Wendi with her phone going over the calls that she made that day, the day Dan Markel was shot. And one call in particular interested me.
The only thing I have that is, the only thing that I guess I have is I was waiting to call back this colleague of mine, Joe Davis, and I called him from the car at 12:27. And he was the first call I made as I was pulling out of the driveway. So that was like 12:27.
That's leaving the house.
That was leaving the house. So I got into the car, I put on my earpiece, I called Joe. And Joe was busy with a colleague. And then I was returning phone calls. I called back this woman, Laura, that was at 12:29. And then I called my friend Jeff Skopek, who's different Jeff, lives in Boston, just had a baby, and so I was catching up with him about his baby. And we were on the phone about 16 minutes. I was on the phone with him on the way to the liquor store.
Joe Davis was the one at 12:27?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I actually spoke with Joe. Laura, I left a message, and then Jeff I spoke with for a while, and then the connection cut out. I went into the liquor store, I tried him back again. We talked for a few minutes, connection cut out again, and I was like, I'm at lunch, I'll just call him back later.
Okay, so this is her going through the calls, and the only thing I have is, the only thing that I guess I have is I was waiting to call back this colleague of mine, Joe Davis. I was waiting to call back. Now that's very curious. We don't hear that a lot. It's not I called Joe Davis. It was I was waiting to call back, which got me wondering, what was she waiting for? Was it that she was waiting for getting in the car so that she was ensure she was on the phone while she was in the car making this journey? Because if you look at the wider police investigation, an interrogation, an interview, Wendi seems to want to be able to account for every single moment of that time. Maybe naturally because, the ex-wife wants to be able to do that, but she's able to do that. So we've got the TV repairman that we all know about. We've got the emails that she was sending. You can check my email logs. There'll be proof of my emails there. And then there's all these calls. And she seems to have been waiting to call back this colleague of mine. Is that because that she was sure? Was she waiting to make calls from the car for any specific reason? There's lots of markers of that as she talks. I was waiting to call back this colleague of mine, Joe Davis, and I called him from the car at 12:27. So she's getting very clear with us. She was calling from the car. He was the first call I made as I was pulling out of the driveway. So again, she wants to be really clear. She was in the car here. I was pulling out of the driveway. He was the first call I made as an indicator there are more calls to come as I was pulling out the driveway. So that was like 12:27. That was leaving the house, asked the detective. She agrees that was leaving the house. So I got into the car, I put on my earpiece, I called Joe, and Joe was busy. So we've got a kind of double action here because she's already called Joe. She was pulling out of the driveway, and then she's got back into the car. So I was getting into the car, put on my earpiece, and I called Joe. She's called Joe twice. Very comfortable saying that she called Joe, or she really wants to get across, she called Joe from the car. I called Joe, and Joe was busy with a colleague. And then I was returning phone calls. So again, I've got this sense that she was saving up phone calls to make from the car. Now, maybe that was just a time thing. I'm a very busy person. Can't do much else when I'm in the car but return phone calls. But she really seems to have been saving up phone calls for this car journey. By the way, that's the car journey that took her down Trescott, where Dan lived, where the shooting happened. That she is very, very gone. I called back this woman, Laura. That was at 12:29. Now, she knows this because she's going through her phone and the phone log there. This woman, Laura. Not as much detail on Laura as there is on the other people. It's just this woman, Laura. That was at 12:29. And then, and please remember this as we go on, I called my friend Jeff Skopak. She probably has the name on the call log, so she knows who it is. I called my friend Jeff Skopak, who's a different Jeff, lives in Boston. So this is a data point I want us to remember. 12:29. From the car, she called her friend Jeff Skopak, who lives in Boston. Just had a baby, and so I was catching up with him about the baby. So now we know the person, Jeff Skopak, lives in Boston, and the content of the phone call, he's just had a baby, so I talked to him about his baby. And we were on the phone for about 16 minutes, so that's a long time on the phone, 16 minutes on the phone to Jeff Skopak, lives in Boston, talking about the baby. I was on the phone with him on the way to the liquor store. Joe Davis was the one at 12:27, is what is asked. That's going back to Joe. And actually, I spoke with Joe. Laura, I left a message. And then Jeff, I spoke with for a while. And then the connection cut out and I went into the liquor store. So she really wants to zone in on this 16-minute call. Spoke with Joe. Laura left a message. Jeff, I spoke with for a while. Was that what she was looking for in the calls from the car? Was she looking for someone she could talk to for a while? Joe was busy. Laura didn't answer. Jeff, oh, thank God Jeff was there. And we spoke for 16 minutes for a while. And then the connection cut out. I went into the liquor store. I tried him back again. We talked for a few minutes, connection cut out again. I was like, I'm at lunch, I'll just call him back later. So that's the story of that. So just remember some data points there, which is, number one, she seems to have been saving up phone calls to make on the car journey. And number two, she was on the phone to Jeff Skopak from Boston, from the house to the liquor store. Okay, that's who she was on the phone with, the guy who just had the baby. Jeff Skopak from Boston, from the house to the liquor store, including Trescott, by the way, implicit in what she says there, and they spoke about the baby. Now let's go to the trial of Catherine Magbanawa, and this is Wendi talking about who she spoke to on the drive that took her past Trescott.
And were you on the phone when you encountered the roadblock? If you remember. Do you remember who you were speaking to?
I do.
Who was that? You don't have to say the name, but just what type of person was that?
He was a friend. I hadn't caught up with him a long time. He'd moved to England, so I was probably a little distracted talking and catching up with an old friend.
And when you encountered, at the time that you encountered the roadblock or shortly thereafter, did you call the daycare?
No.
Did you call Dan Markell?
No.
Did you do anything to reach out to any of the players that we've talked about in this case?
No.
Did you communicate to anyone that there was a roadblock?
I didn't. I would have had no reason to do that.
Okay, so is that a different story? Let's dig into the words. Were you on the phone when you encountered the roadblock? I was, says Wendi. We have that honest I was there. Do you remember who you were speaking to? She says, I do. We have that I do there. That all seems very honest. Short answers, deals directly with the question. Were you on the phone? I was. Do you remember who you were talking to? I do. Short answers, deal with the question, indicates she's being truthful there, and I see no lies whatsoever when she's talking there. Who was that? You don't have to say the name, but just what type of person was that? He was a friend. I hadn't caught up with him in a long time. He'd moved to England, so I was probably a little distracted, talking and catching up with an old friend. Now, he was a friend. So this person doesn't seem to be a friend anymore at the time of this trial. He was a friend at the time of the call. I hadn't caught up with him in a long time. He'd moved to England. Well, wait a minute. When she was going through the phone log, it was Jeff Skopak in Boston, but now we have a friend who'd moved to England. Yeah, the name has disappeared, but she was asked, you don't need to say the name if you don't want to say the name, so that's fair. But Boston, England, two different places. I wondered if New England came into it, but there is no new in there. So I was probably a little distracted, talking and catching up with an old friend. Let's just compare that. He was a friend. I hadn't caught up with him in a long time. He'd moved to England. So I was probably a little distracted, talking and catching up with an old friend. Versus, I called my friend Jeff Skopak, who's a different Jeff, lives in Boston, just had a baby, and so I was catching up with him about the baby. These are two different calls to two different people. One's in Boston, one's moved to England. One's someone I hadn't caught up with an old time, and I was talking and catching up with an old friend. And the other one, I was catching up with him about a baby. So we've got two different people that she was on the phone to, one in the police interview and one in the trial of Catherine Magbanawa. Which one is true? Well, look, it's a direct contradiction. Both are stated with certainty. Only thing I have to say is, given the police interview was with her call log, so she was actually sitting there and repeating names out of the phone that was there, the police interview version seems most likely true. But why it's changed in Catherine Magbanawa's trial to someone who lives in England, actually, I've got an idea about that. And talking of communication with people, when we look at the next contradiction from Wendi, this might be why this person that she was on the phone to has moved from Boston all the way across the Atlantic to England. We'll look at that contradiction in a moment. Now listen, do you ever feel you're not hearing the full truth? Well, we haven't been here because we're getting contradictory stories, and this happens to us all the time in life. And this is the key to seeing deeper. It's hearing the world with new ears. And I'm on a mission to share this with as many people as possible. So if you want to unlock that secret and just learn how people will deceive you or will tell you the truth with their words, then join in the movement. Subscribe to the channel or follow it. Delve into the archives because there's a treasure trove of cases waiting to be explored, including a whole lot on the Adelson family. Do you know someone who needs this? Someone who could do with hearing the truth in their life? Then do share this with them. Recommend it to them. Even just pressing the like button helps this get out to more people, because for never a truer word, every single click and every single share fuels the fire. It's me and you versus everyone else. It allows me to dig deeper when people get involved and interact. It allows me to analyze further and bring this life-changing skill to even more people. Right, let's go back to Wendi Adelson on the stand, and she is talking at Catherine Magbanawaz's trial again. Listen carefully.
Did you have WhatsApp on your phone at the time?
I really don't know. I have it now. I don't know if I had it 8 years ago.
Did you communicate with anyone on WhatsApp or similar technology to relay any information about the murder of your husband?
Absolutely not.
Do you know if your brother Charlie had WhatsApp at the time?
I have no idea.
Did you communicate with him through WhatsApp?
If I had WhatsApp on my phone, then maybe I did. I know I had friends who lived around the world. At that time, WhatsApp was more of a technology you used to talk to people internationally. So I know the friend I was talking to was in England. If I had WhatsApp, I would have used it to call him.
Did you know that WhatsApp, the communications are encrypted, they cannot be retrieved by law enforcement? Were you aware of that?
I think they can be retrieved by law enforcement, but it's one of the end-to-end encryption services.
All right, and so you can't tell the jury whether you communicated through WhatsApp at all on the day of the murder?
I don't remember if I had it 8 years ago. I have it now, so we could look and figure out if I had it then, but I don't know.
All right, did you ever communicate with Catherine Magbanawaz at any time through WhatsApp?
I never communicated with her at all.
Right, so let's look at Wendy's WhatsApp. Did you have WhatsApp on your phone at the time? And the answer is, I really don't know. I have it now. I don't know if I had it 8 years ago. Now, notice here that although she is unsure, uncertain, she's not ruling it out. I really don't know. Now, that really can be persuasive. It's not, I don't know. It's, I really don't know. Don't question this. I really don't know. I'm turning the severity of my not knowing up a notch. I really don't know means the same thing as I don't know, but I really don't know. It's just turning up the severity of what is said there. Sometimes people use that to make it sound more believable. I have it now. I don't know if I had it 8 years ago. So she's taken a slight off ramp there, a slight diversion. I really don't know. I have it now. I don't know if I had it 8 years ago. But notice that she's not ruling it out. And notice the way she's not ruling it out is I don't know. It's not I might have. It's not opening the door to the possibility it could have been there, although the content would be the same. What this answer really says strictly is I may have had WhatsApp at the time. I don't know. I don't know if I have it now. It's not, yeah, I could have. I've got it now. I could have installed it then, or I could have installed it, years before. No, it's I really don't know. So she's focusing towards the not having it. If you know what I mean. That's where the focus is. Although the actual answer is I may have had it. For some reason, she doesn't want to say it that positive way of I may have had it. She wants to say I don't know. I don't know if I had it 8 years ago. Did you communicate with anyone on WhatsApp or similar technology to relay any information about the murder of your husband? And her answer is absolutely not. Very similar to I really don't know. This we could have done with a no if that is a truthful answer. Did you communicate with anyone on WhatsApp or similar technology to relay any information about the murder of your husband? No. Very straightforward, truthful answer. But again, she needs to use words to turn up the severity. It's not just no, it's like a super no. Absolutely not. Charlie did this a lot in his trial. Absolutely was one of the words he used when he was lying. And we know Charlie was lying on his trial. And he would say, absolutely not. And Wendi here says, absolutely not. Now, just because Charlie was lying when he said absolutely not doesn't prove that Wendi is lying when she says absolutely not. But it's interesting that she can't just give a calm, concise no to this. She needs to go into the language of persuasion. Absolutely not. Do you know if your brother Charlie had WhatsApp at the time? She says, I have no idea. Now, this is interesting because we have the concept of I don't know and I have no idea. We very often have an idea. Possible that Charlie had WhatsApp at the time. I mean, we don't know what's on our brother's phones, do we? I certainly don't. I mean, it would take someone really nosy to know exactly what was on your brother's phone. Now, she could have said, I don't know what was on Charlie's phone. However, she says, I have no idea. Well, she does have an idea. The idea is, yes, he might have. Doesn't mean to say that she communicated with him on WhatsApp at all. It just means he may have, but she again wants to turn this all away from the fact that WhatsApp could have been involved. I have no idea. Did you communicate with him through WhatsApp? If I had WhatsApp on my phone, then maybe I did, said Wendi. Now, she's on oath here, so lying is not going to be a good idea. She's still not ruling out that she had WhatsApp on my phone. If I had WhatsApp on my phone, then maybe I did. So if I had WhatsApp on my phone, then maybe I did, doesn't rule out the fact that she could have had WhatsApp on her phone on the day that Dan Markel was murdered. If I had it, and maybe I did communicate with Charlie. Interesting that you have no idea whether Charlie had WhatsApp on his phone, but maybe I did use it to communicate with him. She's still not ruling out WhatsApp. And then she goes extra because she's asked, did you communicate with him through WhatsApp? Yes, no, don't know would have been a fine. But she says, I know I had friends who lived around the world. At that time, WhatsApp was more of a technology you used to talk to people internationally. So I know the friend I was talking to was in England. If I had WhatsApp, I would have used it to call him. Let's break that down because it's extra. It's something that's important for Wendi to say. I know I had friends who lived around the world. Interesting, this is all in the past tense. Does she not have friends who live around the world now? Is she just talking about the time? That might be fair enough. Remember, this person was a friend as well, is what she said at the beginning. So this is all going back past tense. At that time, WhatsApp was more of a technology you used to talk to people internationally. So more of a technology you used to talk to people internationally. I get that, but that's not ruling out again that she could have talked to people domestically with WhatsApp. WhatsApp was only more of a technology used to talk to people internationally, not entirely for talking to people internationally. So she's keeping the door open to the fact she could have used WhatsApp to talk to people domestically like Charlie. So I know the friend I was talking to was in England. So that's interesting because we think the friend she was talking to was in Boston from the call logs that we had. But now she's telling us, I know the friend I was talking to was in England. If I had WhatsApp, I would have used it to call him. You get bonus points for being a proper Adelson trial addict if you know the fact it came up at Donna's trial that WhatsApp did not offer voice calls at the time Dan Markel was murdered. So there could not have been a call from Wendi to England that day because on WhatsApp, because that did not exist. So we've got the very, very obscure phone call now that she made on the way to the liquor store that went past Dan Markel's street, Trescott, which she was saying could have been on WhatsApp, but wasn't on WhatsApp. If I had WhatsApp, I would have used it to call him. She is very open to having WhatsApp at the time, and she used it for international and for other reasons. That's very apparent in what she says there. Did you know that WhatsApp, the communications are encrypted, says the prosecutor. They cannot be retrieved by law enforcement. Were you aware of that? Wendi punches back a little bit there. I think they can be retrieved by law enforcement, but it's one of the end-to-end encryption services. So were you aware? Were you not aware? Why won't a yes or no just suffice there? All right, so you can't tell the jury whether you communicated through WhatsApp at all on the day of the murder. She says, I don't remember if I had it 8 years ago. I have it now, so we could look and figure out if I had it then. So she's still extremely open to the fact that she had WhatsApp there, but I don't know. So it's just, I don't know if I had it or not. But she's really, really open to the fact she could have had it. As much as she wants to say, didn't do any of these communications on WhatsApp, she doesn't close the door on it entirely. All right, did you ever communicate with Catherine Mabanawa at any time through WhatsApp? She says, I never communicated with her at all. Couple of things in there. We've got that word never. It's not I didn't. It's never, not at any time communicated with her. Well, there's pictures of the two of them together. They did communicate. They obviously spoke. Sometimes they spent some time together. So this is not entirely true. Again, it's using language to persuade us of certainties and concrete things when it's not entirely true. Never is extremely unreliable. I never communicated with her at all. ever. She wants to go really concrete there and really, really convinces that she didn't have any communication with Catherine Magbanua. Now, is that image management? Is that persuasion and convincing? I never communicated with her at all, when a no would have done, or is it just really important for her to get across the fact that she never communicated with Catherine Magbanua? So here, in this first storytelling of WhatsApp, she will not rule out using WhatsApp at all. She presents very innocent uses for it as well. You'll notice it could be used to talk to people internationally. I would have been calling my friend in England in it if I had WhatsApp at the time. So does this explain the switch to with a friend being in England and not Boston? Does Wendi want a reason as to why WhatsApp would have been on her phone, and maybe a reason as to why the WhatsApp app was accessed on the day of the murder, if it ever does come out that she was using it purely to speak to this friend who's no longer in Boston but is now across the Atlantic internationally in England? So that's WhatsApp, the story at Catherine Magbanua's trial. Let's go to Donna Adelson's trial now and hear Wendi talking about WhatsApp there.
Did you have WhatsApp on your phone at that time?
I did.
What is WhatsApp?
WhatsApp is it's a phone service. It's an app that I use when I talk to people who live in other countries. So it's become very popular. I think I had it at the time. I know I certainly have it now. But it's a device to send messages.
During the time frame that we're talking about, which is around the time of the murder, did you communicate with any of your family members through WhatsApp?
I don't remember using WhatsApp unless they were traveling internationally, because it's a way of making free calls or free texts when, at that time, making long-distance calls on a regular phone would have been very expensive.
Stories changed again. Did you have WhatsApp on your phone at that time? And this is talking about the day that Dan Markel was shot. And Wendi has changed from I don't remember to I did. She did have WhatsApp on her phone at the time. I said at Catherine Magbanua, she was very open to the fact that WhatsApp could have existed. And now she's saying it did exist on my phone. I did have WhatsApp on my phone at that time. Now, that's a contradiction. What I will say is she did offer in the trial to look back and see if she had WhatsApp on her phone at the time, what time it was installed, I guess, looking back on maybe chat histories or something to see when the earliest one was. But now she's changed the story from I don't remember to I did. Not necessarily saying she was lying at Catherine Magbanua's trial, but I said she was very open to it, and funnily enough, she did. What is WhatsApp, she's asked. WhatsApp is it's a phone service. It's an app that I use to talk to people who live in other countries. So it's become very popular. So let's break that down. WhatsApp is a phone service. Now, WhatsApp is more than a phone service. I guess it replicates a phone in that you can send chat messages, and also you can make phone calls on WhatsApp. At least you can now. Wendi has described it as a phone service. Does that mean she uses it primarily to speak to people rather than the chatting part of it? But she certainly said it's a phone service first and foremost. It's an app I use when I talk to people who live in other countries. So I use when I talk, again, is this the talk that's on the phone that happens when you actually dial someone and speak to them rather than communicate with them via voice notes or via the chat facility. I use when I talk to people who live in other countries. So it's become very popular. So what is WhatsApp? She says it's a phone service, and then she's not asked how she uses it, but she's going to tell us how she uses it. And she uses it to talk to people who live in other countries. Okay, so I use it to talk to people who live in other countries, rules out using it to communicate with people in the same country as her. If that's what she uses it for, which is fair enough, believe what someone says, I use it to talk to people who live in other countries. That's her use for WhatsApp. So it's become very popular. Again, is this socializing here? So I don't use this weird encrypted app that has more security than your normal phone. I just, you use it, and lots of other people use it. It's nothing to be thought of as shifty or anything like, deceptive. It's very popular, WhatsApp. Is she socializing it there? I think I had it at the time, so she's rolling back a little bit on the certainty of, did you have WhatsApp on your phone at the time? I did. And now, once again, it's just the door is open to having WhatsApp. I think I had it at the time. Now, this is the door still open. It's a little bit vague, like the Catherine Magbanua testimony was, but you'll notice this time she's open to the possibility that it's there. She's not sort of closing off and going, I don't remember. I think I have it at the time. I know I certainly have it now. Now, that's completely irrelevant, but she really wants to say that she has it now. But it's a device to send messages. So WhatsApp's a phone service. She uses it to talk to other people, but she also uses it to send messages. Is this a slip? Did she want to lead on it being a phone service and she uses it to talk to other people who live in other countries? But also now she is saying she uses WhatsApp to send messages. She led with phone, she led with talking, but now she also uses it to send messages. During the time frame that we're talking about, which is around the time of the murder, did you communicate with any of your families through WhatsApp? Now, that's a yes or no question. The answers to this that are acceptable are yes, I did, no, I didn't, or even I don't know would be fine there because, this is a long time ago. 11 years ago, can you remember exactly which apps you were using to communicate with people 11 years ago? I can't. It's fair enough that people may not know what's there. So there are sort of three possible answers. Do you, from that time frame, which is around the day of the murder, did you communicate with any of your family members through WhatsApp? And she says, I don't remember using WhatsApp unless they were traveling internationally. So she's asked about this time frame, which is the day of the murder, and she just tells us about what she remembers in general, which is when people were traveling internationally, because it's a way of making free calls and free texts, when at that time making long distance calls on a regular phone would have been very expensive. So once more, she wants to just narrow down using WhatsApp to internationally. This is all of a sudden why this person from England has come in, is an international call. It allows for the use of WhatsApp on the day of Dan Markel's death. But look, does she answer this question? Just let's go through it again. You can tell me. During the time frame that we're talking about, which is around the time of the murder, did you communicate with any of your family members through WhatsApp? I don't remember using WhatsApp unless they were traveling internationally because it's a way of making free calls or free texts when at that time making long distance calls on a regular phone would have been very expensive. There is a way of working all that into an answer that deals with it. I only used WhatsApp when they were traveling internationally. Everyone was home in America that day, so I would not have used WhatsApp to communicate with them because I only used it when they were abroad. That would have brought the whole thing in. However, it's just I don't remember using WhatsApp unless they were traveling internationally. So here, the memory has changed from I don't know if I had WhatsApp to I did have WhatsApp. She's very evasive now on her questions around how she used WhatsApp. Listen, I think there's just one thing in all of this. She had WhatsApp at the time. She knows she had WhatsApp on her phone. So there we go with some contradictions from Wendi Adelson. Let's break them down one by one. Number one, she was told in the interrogation room, in the police interview room by the policeman there, that's when she was told the shooting had happened. She was not told in the car. I can tell that from the words the detective uses. I can tell that from her reaction as well. Did she have WhatsApp? Yeah, she did have WhatsApp at the time. And who was she calling at the time? I think it was the friend from Boston because she had the call log there in front of her and she was very detailed because she had the call log there in front of her that she called this guy in Boston. The other one just goes to someone in England that I caught up with, so I haven't spoken to a long time. So there's the truths. There's what I get from looking at the words in these contradictions. And I want to know why these stories have changed over time. What benefit does it serve Wendi to change these stories over time? Let me know what you think in the comments here on this platform if you can, or you can get in touch in the socials. It's neveratruerword.com. There you will find out the link to all the socials. You'll also find a whole load more videos and podcasts, including a hell of a lot on the Adelson family and Donna Adelson's trial. And you can become a member of the Facebook group if you want to discuss the words that people use in some more detail with a great bunch of people. That's all at neveratruerword.com, and we'll see you soon for something new from Never a Truer Word.